Hello and welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stuart Booth.
Joe Luffman.
Looking
Dapper.
I was going to say cash but smart.
Yeah, just see how I roll, mate. See how I roll now.
Where's the time?
In the car.
Okay.
I had to walk from work to get the car. Whew.
Well, I saw it came up. Jack had a workout.
Oh yeah, just because the walk all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
400 metres, right?
I was going to say 5-minute walk and it classes as a workout.
Yeah. Well, 25 minutes.
Fitness levels must be peaking.
Mate, after the weekend, they're not bad, to be fair.
Oh, right,
They're
okay.
not bad.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a few things we're going to talk about. We're going to have a little look at the Euro League.
What is this, by the way?
If you're not noticed, they've been there for the last couple of weeks. This is the first time you spotted it. Okay, so we'll have a little look at the Euro League and the potential pitfalls for the home nations.
Oh, yeah.
And then we will have a little look at a question that has been put out there. I've done a little bit of research for, which I'm going to throw at you in a second. Well, not in a second, in a few minutes. And we are going to have a little look at the cricket because something momentous is about to happen.
Yeah.
And then
Go home.
pretty much it.
Almost a weekend, isn't it?
So let's start with your sporting week. Opening game of the season.
Yeah. So we had obviously first weekend of the league season, two sides out, and we got two sides out, and only one person sort of played both games, which was good and pleasing. So the second team played Saturday at Ajman against Shahram or whatever. Just lost out, but they were a bit unlucky. The outfield hadn't been cut. No, that's somewhat the same for both sides, but not great. You know, when you've paid all this money, you go and the outfield's not been cut, so that didn't help. And we batted first, so there was a little bit of dew around, believe it or not.
Well, I'm sure that would have benefited you then.
No,
wouldn't
it holds the ball.
Slip.
No, on the outfield it holds it up because it sits on the top. So they managed to get to 130, 140, about 135, I think. Which wasn't a bad effort considering the outfield and stuff like that. And of course it was searing hot. I did go for the first hour and a half. It was so hot. And then the other side got them in the 24th over. One big partnership. The interesting thing is, and I'm going to have a gripe now and that's it, but the league, you pay all these fees and they go through all these launch things and all the rules and stuff like that. Division 3 game, this side, before we even start, one of their lads says, we've got 5 Division A players in our team. So what's the point? So the boys did well. Anyway, and then on Sunday, first team, we played the much fancied, apparently, Z Games, which are all youngsters who are meant to have some credibility. And there was 4 or 5 who were, you can see, decent players. Some of them not so good. And we hammered them by 140 runs.
And how many did you score?
38 off 30 balls.
So I believe one of our old students was playing. He didn't bowl you out by any chance, did he?
He couldn't bowl a barn door now, pal. No, he wasn't. They did have another left arm who was quick, who hit me on the thumb and split that.
Also, that half-naked pitch he sent to me.
And yeah, it got me one on the...
I can't believe I nearly forgot about that picture then.
Right, so that's changed colour since then. So that was good. It gets your beans going.
Oh, I bet it does.
So that, and to be fair, he was quick. But we got on top of him, and yeah, so it was a good all-round win, really. And we go again this weekend. Two games. First home Saturday afternoon at 7, Sunday second afternoon at the 7s.
Afternoon? What time's afternoon start?
1 o'clock.
Oh no.
Although I think it was a slightly cooler last week than it was in the morning, but
I think that it's cooler, and then we hit middays around about 1, 2 o'clock when we're probably peaking, and it just starts to cool down.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it was hot. It's just ridiculous.
Well, for people back in the UK, it's currently showing 37 on my watch, and we've just been outside and walked, and it's still in the 40s.
Yeah, definitely in the 40s. It's hot. It is hot. What about you? Big game last night?
Yeah, so we played, I say an internal friendly. We've obviously, part of the club, we have a first team that plays in the Prem, we have a second team that plays in Division 1, so good ranked teams, and there's obviously the Vets team. We've dropped to thirds this year, we've no third team.
Right.
So we played the second team last night in an intriguing game because it's an ex-staff member, Dario, he used to work before you started for us, did a little bit of work in PE, known as being a very, very angry Scottishman, especially when it comes to football matches. Ask Matt Aldred about it. and how Dario still doesn't speak to Matt Aldred.
Really?
Based upon a game that was played around about 5-6 years ago.
Oh, that's Matty, I'm going to ask you that over breakfast when we go out.
Yes, so it was interesting. They had, I think, similar players. It looked like they'd had bolstered the numbers with a few of the old third team in there, so I think probably not as strong as they were last year. It was a strange game. Literally 2 minutes in, the ball's fallen to me and the goalie's come diving out of my feet and I've rolled it across my body. He's gone whizzing past me and I've just tapped into an open net, puts 1-0 up. And with the game not even got going at this point.
Good start.
So happy with that. And I think after the first 30 it was 1-0. Second 30, we played in 30s because
3:30.
Yeah,
so
3:30
hot still.
because it's still so hot.
If anybody doesn't know, it's hot here at the minute.
Yeah, it is red as. And then Pooley gets down the right, goes to put a ball in. The keeper's actually caught it, and then he's thrown it into the net.
Match fixing.
Full on. It was like really bizarre because he's gone backwards to catch it in this position. I'm trying to get the angle, but then he's kind of lost his balance. So then he's kind of like tried to get his foot down, and he's thrown the ball backwards into the net. Put us 2-0 up. And then the ball had been played through 1-1 with the goalie, had gone round him, tapped that into the net, 3-0 up, and then last 30 put me into midfield, got a penalty.
I saw you slot that away.
Yeah, sent in the wrong way. Knew as soon as I approached the ball, I waited for him to move and just pass it to the other corner, put us 4-0 up, and then they got one back in the 89th minute.
What a game.
But yeah, it's a good result. To be fair, if you'd probably analyse the game, you'd say they probably had more possession in probably a dangerous area, but we're a hard unit to break down, and obviously dangerous.
Quality up front, huh?
Oh, well.
Bit of quality in front of the goal.
I didn't want to say anything, but you're right, Jack. I am class. I'm only joking.
You did tell me you ripped them apart.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it was one of them that the referee was so bad. They had this guy looked like, I can't even describe what it looked like, but his decision making was terrible. There was a few times when somebody played the ball and you just lean into them. Yeah. Free kick. Right, ref, there's a little bit of contact in there. The penalty we got shouldn't have been a penalty. The lad slid across, won the ball, and then on the follow through took the lad out, but not a dangerous tackle.
Yeah.
And gave a penalty.
I think that thing's ridiculous. You see a lot in the thing.
Yeah,
as soon as you win the ball.
I can see the one in the Premiership where they've gone in. It's like not controlled.
Yeah.
This one was they were coming. He was trying to run onto it at the same time as he was making a tackle. So there was inevitably going to be some. So it was more our play fell over him sliding through. And even he jumped up and was like, "There's not a penalty," and their guy was going mad. He got booked, I think, for it as well, which made it worse. But yeah, there was a few tackles that went in that were firm but fair, and he just blew up for free kicks, and it just a bad referee. But like you know, he said about the outfield, he was bad for both teams. It wasn't like he favoured anybody. Just not good.
No.
But again, another 90 minutes under the belt. So
league season starts.
We've got 2 weeks off, so we've got one more friendly next week, and then we're league kicks off the week
after. Good stuff. Looking in good shape.
Yeah, we're doing well, and we still haven't. I would argue to say we probably still haven't had our best 11 on the pitch yet. So yeah, I think we've got an Arabic team next week, which is a different type of game to play. So it's a little bit nastier and naughty off the ball.
Million miles an hour.
Yeah, and they will throw themselves about a bit. Yeah. So yeah, it's good challenges, putting ourselves in good stead for the season. So yeah, all good on the front.
Good stuff.
Right. Well, shall we start with Euro League, that's
Euro Nations thing, yeah.
So we've currently got England potentially to go down.
Yeah.
Wales potentially to go down, I believe.
Yeah.
Scotland are top of their group.
Yeah, they can go
of their group, and I believe Ireland are on the verge of going down. So I think results need to be favoured. So England actually have 2 games. Yeah. One Friday, so you'll probably catch this after the England game.
Yeah, probably after.
And then I think the other one is the beginning of the following week.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah. So don't beat around the bush. They need to win both games.
Unbelievably so. And I think we said at the end of. I know don't really watch it. I think after the last game lost that game 4-0 against Hungary. And I think he got it all wrong in terms of his squad selection, plus the end of season and all that. So there's a bit of mitigating circumstance from the players' point of view. But all it did, in my opinion, is put undue pressure on Southgate going into these 2 games, that they have to, and they can't afford to go down a tier, can they, really?
Not when you're thinking, but then you would argue that which of them 3 teams, because Hungary are safe, which of them 3 teams deserves to go down? And you've got to say at the moment, it's got to be England.
Well, yeah, they've only drawn 2 and lost 2. That's
based upon the results. Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure on England having to beat Italy in the first game, and then it's a little bit more, depending if they've beaten Italy. Because
I think if they beat Italy, I think they'll probably be alright, I think.
But again, Italy have got to play Hungary, and Hungary a little bit of an unknown quantity, because I think if any of them 3 teams turns up, and I think all 3 have probably gone around about the same way, have gone, right, we'll trial a few players in here and there, and then suddenly they find themselves in this position, because Italy wouldn't want to go down being current European champions.
And they're not in the World Cup either.
Yeah, so
I think from England's point of view, he's got to play his best 2 sides.
Well, I'd say going into this now, we're in the World Cup year, that you've got to now be going, right, what's my 23 going to be?
Correct.
I need my starting 11. They need to get as much game time as possible.
I agree with you. And the thing is, he's got the issue of we need to effectively win both games, let's just say that, to stay in that league. And then he's got the added problem that some of his first choice players who have done really well for him for 4 or 5 years, what does he do with it? So the likes of Maguire, Luke Shaw, to a degree Henderson, who's just come back in the squad, Trent, all these guys that, and Pickford's out injured completely, but he'll be back, he'll be fine, he'll be number 1, not an issue. But what does he do with those guys? Because I know that he says, he said all along I pick on form. We all know that to a certain extent. I think he has done that with some of the Tony, for example, right now, some of the other people he's picked over time, but you can't do that for every single position. You've always got to have your bankers, haven't you? Well, Maguire, for example, has never let England down.
No, but again, on the flip side of that is, how can you play somebody that's not playing games?
Yeah, and that's the point.
He's not match fit. And I had this discussion with a few different people: is who is currently fit that is playing regularly for out there at club level that would potentially be England's starting centre halves.
Yeah, I think Stones is one, isn't he?
Stones is getting game time here and there.
And I don't think he ever, for me, John Stones, he's been at City, he never really has an outstanding game. He doesn't really have a bad game. No. Just does a job for him. So
for current centre halves that I know that are playing at the moment that could be in contention, you've got Stones, you've got Ben White, you've got potentially Kyle Walker, the guy that never really gets a mention, Tomori over at Milan.
Yeah, he's in the squad, isn't he? This time.
Chelsea player. And then I'm going to throw this one out there, but what about the lad at Roma? Ex-United, his name's just completely slipped my mind. Chris Smalling.
Oh yeah, he's been playing. And Dyer's in the squad, isn't he? I think that's well deserved. Yeah. But I think with Dyer, he only really can play as a sweeper. Not that he can't play, but that's where he's got his form back. A little bit like Cody, isn't it? Although he's back in a 4 at the minute. Yeah, and Smalling, because I think it's been on record. I think I would, if I was to pick a World Cup squad tomorrow, I think my 3 would probably be the 3 that, and I would play a back 3 or a back 5, and I would play Kyle Walker as the right side with Stones and Maguire. I think that's where I'd go. But that's the problem, isn't it? That one of those has either played any football, and how much football is he going to play between now and the World Cup?
Yeah, I'd argue Ben White should be in that 3.
Yeah,
I've always rated Ben White. Remember Matteo did, who is Ben White?
Yeah, and because he's capable of playing across all that form.
Well, he's been playing right back, hasn't he?
Yeah, and you would argue actually on form that Dyer's probably on better form than Stones in that thing, without looking at the likes of the ones overseas. So I think it should make it interesting, because I think if England, he has to treat it like a tournament for me. Play his best, his sides the best 2. They're fit. They've got plenty of time to rest. It is what it is. If people pick up injuries, so be it.
I think if you're looking at ball playing centre halves, I think if you played Stones and White together, you've got real accomplished footballers to play a bit, to get the ball down and build from the back. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. So we'll see what happens in the next few days, because like you're saying, is if he loses these 2, it's terrible form going into it, and under a heap of pressure, will the FA have to react based upon the fact that They shouldn't be anywhere near relegation.
Yeah, I know, and that's the problem. I would like to think he'd be brave, because I was reading one yesterday saying that usually away from home or against what good side, he likes to play two holding midfielders, and he's only really got Declan Rice and Henderson, who's we don't really know how fit he is. Which surely, and I think Merson pick a side, and I think Souness pick a start in the 11th side for the World Cup, and they did exactly the same as what I did in terms of their back fours and that one played back four, one played back five, but they only had one holding midfield player and just gone, do you know what? Let's have 4 or 5 people going forward, because that's where our strength is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, but we'll wait and see. But they've put themselves under undue pressure, but might be good practice playing under pressure.
Certainly might be. Well, we shall see and observe, and probably
I shall watch Friday night.
We will report back.
Probably not watch Tuesday night, but we'll see.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So.
You got a question for me?
A question for you, right? Okay. This was put out by a follower of ours with regards to.
I think I saw it.
Pochettino.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, and this came from Henry. Thank you, Henry. Is now Poch has now been offered the Nice, or is it OGC Nice?
Yeah.
Job over in
France.
France.
Where Schmeichel went, wasn't it?
Is that where he was gone?
Yeah.
But he's been offered a mediocre French team job.
Yeah,
mid to probably Europa League style 6th, 7th place team.
Yeah.
And Henry came up with a question: has Poch finally found his level?
Can we just also say that at the back of that thing, did he not put Arteta out, does him? Which, first of all, is a ridiculous comment.
Is it?
But, yeah, 100%, because Arteta's not achieved anything yet.
Okay, what's Poch achieved?
Well, he did win with Paris Saint-Germain. Still got to win it.
I would argue either me or you managing that team.
I wouldn't disagree, but it's not an easy place to go.
He also came second with that same team.
Oh, halfway through though, to be fair to him, halfway through the season. Look, I don't know. I like Poch, and I think he'll get back to near the top again. There's no doubt he probably has to prove himself again. I think he'd be. I thought Brighton might go for him, but they've appointed somebody else. But to say he's found his level, I mean, even if you're managing a Europa League side, that's not a bad level to find, is it, Henry? So I don't know. I think his time will come again. There's no doubt that he ran out of steam a bit at Spurs, and Paris Saint-Germain. I think probably, if he was sat here with us, he might have regretted it. Because I think you've said before, haven't you, that he's such a difficult dressing room to go into, and because there's so many egos in there, they want ridiculous money. So I don't know. I would like to see him take that job and do well with Nice. Maybe he is a manager that sort of develops a side to a certain point and then hasn't necessarily got what it takes to do that final thing. But I think you've got to think, he didn't win anything with Spurs, but to get 2 second places, a 3rd place, and runners up in the Champions League.
I know you're going to say this, but on the year that you did finish 2nd place,
we should have won it.
Should have won it.
Yeah, and that was inexperience, I think, on his part and the playing side as well. I mean, that debacle at Chelsea that evening, when for the first time in all year Hazard decided to turn up, but look, I don't know, but to say he's found his level and to say that Arteta's better is absolute rubbish.
Well, I'm going to go through a few.
At the minute, I'm not saying he might not get there, Arteta.
Right, so I'm just going to look at Poch's career path. So he started off with women's football.
Did he really?
Yeah, helping out with an assistant coach, and then moved over to Espanyol.
Yeah.
Was averaging 1.22 points per game, with probably a team probably equivalent to what he's at the moment.
Yeah, if he goes to the
so he played 161 games there, 153, drew 38, lost 70. Average points 1.22 per game. Moved then to Southampton, which had a good time with Southampton. Probably developed more of an attacking style of football. Average points at this point was moved up to 1.45.
Yeah.
23 wins, drew 18, lost 19. Which
I thought he was there for a bit longer than that,
No, it's very, very surprising.
And he did develop some players there that they sold as well.
Yeah, he was only there 6 months. 60 games. 2000 January. No, a year and a half. Sorry, year and a half at Southampton. Then he moved to Spurs in July of 2014 and stayed till November 2019. 293 games in charge, won 160, drew 60, lost 73.
This is all competitions, is it?
Yeah, and average points 1.84 points per match. So obviously steady improvement. Then moved to PSG. Was only in charge for 84 games, 56 wins, drew 13, lost 15 games with that team. Average points 2.15.
But is this just league football then?
Yeah, sorry, league football,
Right, okay.
not cups, and has won in total in league alone. Average percentage 48%, or nearly 49% win rate, 22% draw, and 30% loss.
Yeah.
Only won 2 trophies. That sound about correct? Have I got my
two
stats?
with Paris Saint-Germain, I think.
2 with Paris
Because they
Saint-Germain.
won the League Cup, didn't they?
So, does that strike you as... So, in league totals, it's 598 games, average points per total 1.68. Does that strike you as a world-class manager?
I'll be honest, I don't know how that compares to somebody like, in terms of points per game, I think somebody like your man, can't think it's Klopp.
Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I don't know how that would actually compare points-wise. Look, I'm not saying that he's the world's greatest manager, because clearly he probably isn't at the minute. And, you know, we don't know what goes behind the scenes. I'm surprised he's not been linked with more of the jobs since moving from Paris Saint-Germain, but he might be choosing to turn things down and wait for the right one. I see today he's actually been at some stables, so he's obviously buying some horses, but I rate him. Obviously got a soft spot for him. There's no interest there, which did surprise me, which was a problem with Spurs when he was at Spurs, is that we never drew enough games.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the style of he loses a lot, wins a lot, doesn't get the middle thing, so that's probably where it brings it down. But in terms of overall points, 1.7 a game, that's like a half a win a game. I don't know.
What I've done is I've just quickly, while you're talking, I've gone up Jurgen Klopp. He's been in charge 966 league games, 55% win rate.
So a few more percent.
And 23% loss rate.
So loses a lot less.
Loses a lot less, wins a lot more.
5-6%.
Yeah. So and his points per match is 1.87. So again, a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say a little bit higher.
It's quite a lot higher, but it's still.
But then I think probably for double the amount of games as well.
Yeah. It's a big sample.
So let me see if I can get our man Arteta stats up, because this is the interesting one, and this is Henry will be literally sitting at home going, please beware better.
This is the same that Arsenal manager they wanted to be sacked after 4 games.
Okay. I love how
let's just say it out there.
I love how you're just nibbling all the time, aren't you?
Well, I just think people are just...
Mikel Arteta has been in charge of 138 games, only ever been in charge of Arsenal, has won 80 matches, drawn 20, lost 38. His win percentage at the moment is 58%, draws 15, loss 28%. Average points per match, which is higher than Klopp's 1.88. Yeah. But take into account, you've got to really take into account
small sample size.
Is he's literally 138 in comparison to Klopp's 1,000 in comparison to
what did you do,
600, 500 and something.
So 600, yeah.
So we need to weigh times 5 on the amount of games he's done to then maybe compare. But I know you were saying then that Arteta, after 4 or 5 games, you say Arsenal fans weren't too happy, but they stuck by him, and I'm not going to get too excited for them yet, but they do look like they come out the other side. He's invested well, and he's gone back and I think taken key players that he knew would help support Arsenal and bring on them from his City days, and they look in a decent position at the moment. I think they're still maybe a little bit weak in the centre midfield. You're never going to win the Premiership with Granit Xhaka.
Yeah.
Ben White I like, but I don't think he should be a right back. I think he'd be centre half, but he's got 2 big lads in there that are winning anything and everything. So I think a few minor adjustments, and I'm not saying Arsenal are going to win the league. I just think their starting 11 is going to start to challenge that top 4. It'll be when they get in the midst of season, when they've got injuries and suspensions, that we'll then see how strong Arsenal actually are.
Look, I'm not, and I watched the All or Nothing thing, and I thought it was quite good. I'm not saying that he's not going to be a good manager, and clearly he's had a good education with Pep, isn't he? And you can see, and Arsenal did the right thing sticking by him. I wouldn't have sacked him after 4 games. So you might get them, and you're right that I think they look decent at the minute. But on top of the areas you pointed out, if suddenly Jesus gets injured, suspended, where are they going to get goals from?
Okay, right. So I'm going to put you on the spot now. Who finishes higher?
Well, Spurs or Arsenal. Spurs will finish higher. Better squad.
Oh, right.
Better squad.
Ooh, what are we willing to put on this, Jackie Luffman? We can't get Henry involved in this because he still owes us wearing a top from last time, so he's clearly the type of guy.
I will wear an Arsenal shirt for the podcast if they finish above us.
I like the sound of that. Let's go with that. Okay. So we have heard it here. Jack will wear an Arsenal top for the podcast, for the last podcast of the season.
Once after we've ended the season, if they finish above us.
You have to buy one. That's gonna be even worse.
I'll get one of an else or something. I'll squeeze into it.
Or tattoo the badge on your chest. Sounds interesting.
But I genuinely believe that. I think because of what you said, the squad's better.
Okay, right. Well, we shall see. Right, let's talk a little bit about cricket because how many years has it been since England have been to Pakistan?
17 years.
17 years?
No, longer, 20
I thought it was 27 years.
No, 21 years, 22 years, yeah.
Shed loads of time.
Yeah, long time, a couple of decades, yeah.
Okay, and England Open, when? When does it all
start?
So
they played on Tuesday night.
Okay.
They they played 7 T20 internationals before going to Australia. So they started on Tuesday evening in Karachi. Full house there, it looked really good. Hot, I'm guessing it's similar climate to here at the minute, I would have thought. But yeah, England are there, it's good to see. Ironically, Josh Butler's still carrying injury, so he's there but not played. I don't think he's played the first 2 or something. So Moeen Ali, captain the side, he's the vice captain, so that was quite a nice thing for him, captaining sort of the place of his birth.
So how did they get on?
They won. It was a good win. They chased. Pakistan got off to a good start, batting first, and then England restricted them to about 158, 159, I think. And England chased them quite comfortably with the returning Alex Hales getting 50 odd, which was good because obviously he's been out of the side for 3 years, 4 years. Dropped on the eve of the World Cup win for misdemeanours. But so yeah, it's good, and it's good to see there'll be 6 more games there, and then they go off to Australia to play the T20, and then the Test side go to Pakistan beginning of December.
Excellent. So it's all go at the moment.
It is.
Leads up nicely. When does the World Cup start, by the way?
October. So there's it starts October the 15th, 16th with a group of 4 to qualify for the main tournament.
So it's going to overlap the World. Oh, not October. Sorry,
So Sri Lanka, West Indies, I think. The UAE and Bangladesh play in a tournament, and the top 2 then go into the 2 main groups. I think it's those 4. Definitely UAE, so they've got a chance. But yeah, and then I think that's for about a week. Then the tournament proper, if you like, starts the week after.
Awesome, right?
So yeah, good.
Lots of decent sport to watch this week then.
Very good.
If you like your internationals.
Yeah, you come on, you'll watch this. You'll watch it tomorrow night.
I might.
Italy, Germany, they're good games this year, aren't they? That's the thing.
Yeah, the Italy game would be decent. Yeah. I don't know, like I said, it depends on if we beat Italy. I probably won't watch Germany, but if there's something riding on the Germany game, I'll probably watch that as well.
Yeah.
But Jack, it was a nice, short and sweet one.
Yeah, can't beat short and sweet, mate.
Yeah, so it always has its advantages. But at the end of the day, Jack,
what do we?